How's it going, guys? Michael from GuitarGate again, and welcome to this Learn the Solo series, where we break down famous iconic solos. And while we get close to getting note for note, the real goal is to get the concepts behind why the notes sound good. And you'll find that this song in particular is a great example that the best solos, you can hear the changes of the chords without the accompaniment altogether. So this is Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out by Eric Clapton, and we're going over the live Unplugged album from I think 92 or something like that, because that's the version that I think is most popular. So let's jump into this tune. Now this song, I just did a previous lesson on it going over the form. Just to recap real quick, it's a 4-part tune where you're keeping a shuffle rhythm, and it's C, E7, A7 is the first part. So you're thinking C going to A7 is your key, right? Second part, D minor, A7, D minor. So you're thinking D minor is your key center. As it's going to A7, you think maybe you have a little harmonic minor, but whatever. So you're C going to A7. Then it's key of D minor. Then it goes to F, the F sharp diminished, right, which is basically like a piece of D7. I'll kind of show you how he approaches that. And then it goes D7 to G7 to finally get you back to C. And you'll notice that in each of these parts, in his lead, there's going to be a substantial chord tone approach, which is why you hear the changes so well. The other thing you'll notice is that he tends to rhythmically change between each part. So the first tends to be a lot of activity happening. Then it kind of swings a little more. Then there's a lot more activity, and then it kind of lightens up, and he changes the timbre and does those little sixth things, which I'll show you. And that really creates a nice storyline. So you got like a straight line thing, where bum ba ba da 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 da, and then it slows down for the second part, the ba da da ba da da, where it kind of is really selling that D minor, and then it kind of picks up again when it goes to that F and that F sharp diminished, where there's just a lot of activity happening, and then when he brings it up, it's really just one kind of shape which he's sliding up to create. It's almost like a chimey bell-like approach, and that is very, very neat. So let's start. Enough talking. So the first part, you have C to E7 to A7. The E7 is a passing chord. It's a functioning secondary dominant, right? So all he's thinking is C to A, right? And he's thinking blues, right? He's a blues player. So it's and that is just C major and A minor pentatonic, which are the same shape, right? They're the same scale. He's not thinking going to A7 or saying much about the E7, because as you probably know, you can play the minor pentatonic over a blues and it sounds good. So that's all he's doing here. He's starting on C and he's walking up, doing little slides, and that's your target, right? So this is, you're going from C pattern 2, right, to pattern 3, to a piece of pattern 4 there. So then he just walks back down. Now he'll do little hammer-ons there, back down to A. And then a lot of times you'll see him rock over and hit that C to A again. So again. A lot of slides in there. He's super slick about that, right? Eric Clapton is a really good guitar player, right? And it's mostly because, 1, you hear the changes, 2, it sounds vocal, and 3, he's just slick, man. All those little really got to work on those. So you ended on A. So you went C, E7, A7. and then it goes to D minor, A7, D minor. If we visualize it up here. So what does he do here? He slows down the rhythm a little bit and really sells that D minor. So he goes. So. That's that second lick. Now, all that is, if you look at D minor here, that F, that's your minor third, right? Right? And he's kind of playing with that E, so that's that second too. And then this is obviously your D, your flat 7, right? And your root on D again. Whenever you focus on those changes, right? Because remember, we were in A minor pentatonic. You have the E, but you didn't have the F. Adding that F in, hitting that minor third over that D, really takes you to the world of D, right? It sells that D. And that's what he's trying to do here, right? He's coming from. I mean, you hear you're in D now, right? And then it's something like that, where even though it goes back to A7, since the chord lands back on D, he's just trying to get to that lower D. And all he does is walks up chromatically to get to that D after he does that little pentatonic lead. So it's. And it doesn't really matter how you get there. He does that quick little lick there. And you're walking back up, but you're still thinking, right? That's a piece of pattern 2 and pattern 1, D minor pentatonic. That's it. Now comes the cool part. And I know if you probably listened to this song already, you're thinking, what am I going to do over this F to this F sharp diminished? Here's what you do. So first, he's thinking straight F. Slides up into pattern 3. So if here's pattern 2, your F, you're familiar with that bar chord shape. This top triad is going to be our anchor, our focus, right? It's going up into pattern 3 here. And here's your pentatonic scale shape, right? You know, Clapton's predominantly a pentatonic player. Again, it suits it. And so what he's doing is that little blue note in there, if you're wondering what that is, how he gets the sound of, because you're seeing he's not playing an F sharp in here. He's not going playing that F sharp. He's getting, and that is, he's going up, and so he's right here. He's playing that D sharp or that E flat on the 4th string as that blue note. So it's, he's just in there, right? Don't focus on exactly what he's doing as far as how many times, but just if you listen to it, that's how he builds his tension, you know? Before he does that blue note, that E flat, that is a piece of that full F sharp diminished chord. And again, without going crazy deep in the weeds, if you check this out, the rhythm of the song goes F over F sharp, right? If you can say it like that. All you're doing is increasing the root by 1 note. That F sharp, if you played it on the 1st string, creates D7. The full shape, you have an E flat in there too. And what this chord is a fully diminished chord, which is made up entirely of minor thirds. So, this cluster can be played anywhere, a minor third up, here, and be called by any of those roots. So, an F sharp, a fully diminished chord is the same as this E flat fully diminished chord. So all he's doing there, that E flat, he's adding that in as the blue note, right? Whenever he wants to sell that diminishedness-ish of, diminishedness of it, he's just in F. That's how he's getting that. And that is just simpler to look at. If you're an F, he's adding in the flat 7. So he's implying F7 a little bit, because that's what the E flat does. Then it's the, because that rhythm part goes to F. Then it walks down chromatically to A7. All he's doing is he's walking down here to A7 like this. So he's starting with this E and G, so that's the 5th and flat 7 of A7. Here's your A7 shape up here, and walking up. And walking down step by step back to the A major shape, right? So he's now playing the C sharp and the E, the major 3rd and 5th of A or A7. So now for the 4th part, he plays the entire thing with his 2nd and 3rd finger. And these are, you can call them 3rds, you can call them 6s. People have a lot of different names for them, but these are dyads. These are 2-note chords which imply, the full tonality of the chord. And basically, this chord, the rhythm, remember, goes to D7 to G7. So he's starting on D, and he's getting, this is the 5th and the 3rd, right? So this is your A and your F sharp of D7. So he's not playing the D, right? Or the C to make this full pattern 2 D7. He's just playing this part, and he's sliding up, right, chromatically, and he's going onto the 10th fret. And why the 10th fret? Because now you're in your next D7 shape, which would be, if you can visualize it, pattern 4, right, your big bar chord shape, and he's playing the flat 7, there's the C, and the 5th, right? No 3rd, no root in this, but it works because you still hear that D. You're playing chord tones in D. Keeps the same shape, jumps up to the 12th fret, because now we're going to G7, right? Now this is this piece of pattern 2, or this top part of pattern 3 in G, right? You're playing the 5th, and you're playing the 3rd, the D and the B and G. Same way when you started in D down here, the 5th and the 3rd. Same thing, and you're going up chromatically. And one thing he does differently, when you go to here, he's going to G7, so you know he's going to end up here the exact same way he did. One thing he does is he, with his 3rd finger, goes up 1 fret higher and gets that E flat before bringing it back down. And the reason he does that is because you get because that's your C, that's your root, that's your tone. You get that. It's like that little piece of C minor that it really sells the whole thing. Now, I don't know how long it took him to put all this together, or if he first taped that thing, but that's why Eric Clapton is so damn good. Classic example of a solo over seemingly complicated changes, but pretty standard blues stuff, where you really hear the changes through the lead playing. The lead playing really takes you on a story, both in terms of harmonically where it changes, and then rhythmically there's a lot of peaks and valleys, and then finishes in a way so where it's building, 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 and then it releases very intuitively back to the key center. Just a very, very, very good solo. And when you guys are learning this and you're trying it, again, try to think through it conceptually. So when you go to take a pass at it, right, and you're not just playing the note for note of what he was doing, or at least very close to it, you can think in the same terms. I'll talk you through it one more time, right, to show you what I'm talking about. So the beginning, you have C, passing through E7 to get to A7. You can do this whole thing by just thinking C, major pentatonic, so you're focusing on your C's, switching to A minor pentatonic, where you're focusing on your A's, because you can play minor pentatonic over a blues and it sounds good. So, but you don't have to do his lick. You can go, Now, when you go to the D minor to A7, you're just thinking that you're now in the key of D minor. Your A7, you can sell as little or as much as you want, but beware that C sharp, because that obviously can flex directly with that D. And since you came from A minor pentatonic, it might make sense to just say, to just avoid that C sharp altogether. But you can make it sound a little more harmonic if you want to. But just think D minor, sell that F. Sell that F. So you really hear that you switch to D minor. When you go to the next part, F, F sharp diminished to A7, again, you're going up into F major pentatonic. And that blue note you're looking for, that's that E flat. Because it's the 7, it's the flat 7 in F7, but even though we're not going to F7, that E flat note is part of that full F sharp diminished chord, or that E flat diminished chord, etc., because it's made of all minor thirds. So you can just go into F major pentatonic, and anywhere you want to sound bluesy, you play that E flat. Then there's that walk down to A7, and he does it here, just grabbing the piece of chord tones. But you can do it anywhere you want. But I recommend figuring out something chromatic like that. So you get a chromatic where you start on a piece of A7, you end on a different piece of A7, right? There are many different ways you could do that. And then lastly, figuring out that, that and I can't get over the fact that he goes up and finishes with that, which is a flat 6 in G, and you're like, what's that? What is it doing? But when you make it back to C and it resolves, it makes sense. And it's just a great guitar player, and that's just a great solo. And if you like this series, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Check out guitargate.com for a lot more conceptual-based lessons if you haven't yet. That's kind of what I try to focus on. And drop a hashtag learn the solo in the comments if you want to recommend a different solo you'd like to see me kind of break down. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Forgot to mention one thing. The coolest part of this song, in my opinion, is right before he plays this solo, he reaches back, cool as can be, and grabs the pick, because he plays the rest of this song fingerstyle. Check it out.